He walked on water. Said he was a cowboy when he was young. He could handle a rope, and he was good with a gun. And my mama's daddy was his oldest son. And I thought that he walked on water. And if the story was told, only heaven knows.
Welcome, everybody. We're glad you're here. It's been an eventful couple days, but we are glad that you are here with us today. My name's Brad Freytag. I'm the son-in-law, Lori's husband, and we have matching shirts for all our kids so we can find them better in the crowd. We'd like to start with an opening prayer. The opening prayer will be given by Debbie Stavros, and she is a good friend of ours from Fairview, and she's also known as the Sheep Gal. So we'll have an opening prayer from her. And then we will have a musical number, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. Taking part in that is Casey, one of the granddaughters, Tyler Shaman, there's her husband, Megan Grace and their friend on piano, and I've got a little part in it too. So following that musical number, we will then have a life sketch, and that will be given by Jane Shepard. She is the daughter-in-law, Jeff's wife. And we'll go to that point. So, Debbie.
Our dear Father, which art in heaven, we are thankful that we could be gathered here together in memory of Wayne. We're thankful for his influence in our lives. We're thankful for his kindness and his ability to make people feel welcome and loved. We pray, Father, that we will be able to have peace in our hearts at his passing, that we will be able to keep his memory alive and remember the things which he has done. He was a great friend, father, husband, grandfather, and just a kind neighbor to those around. We love thee, appreciate thee, and ask that thy spirit be with us at this day. These things we pray and ask of thee in Jesus' name, amen.
Come thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious sonnet, sung by flaming tongues above. Praise the mount I'm fixed upon it, mount of thy redeeming love. Here I raise my Ebenezer, hither by my and I hope by thy good pleasure safely to arrive at home. Jesus sought me when a stranger, wandering from the fold of good. He to rescue me from danger interposed his precious blood. Oh, to grace, how great a debtor daily I'm constrained to be. Let thy goodness, like a fetter, bind my wandering heart to thee. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it, prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, oh, take and seal it for thy courts above.
Hi, I'm Jane Shepard, daughter-in-law and Jeff's wife. I just am going to share some of Wayne's life events with you here. Our amazing husband, dad, grandpa, and friend, Wayne Shepard, finally crossed into the heavens on August 8th, 2026. Following a heroic 5-year battle with Alzheimer's and dementia, we know his first order of business after greeting his family has likely been searching for heaven's best fishing hole, where the fish always bite, the line never tangles, and the big ones never get away, and the size matches the stories. And it's always fish o'clock. Although Wayne will be missed terribly by his sweet wife, Ray, and his kids and grandkids, we take comfort in the knowledge that he is no longer burdened with the effects of this horrible disease and can finally rest from the confusion, angst, and frustrating memory loss he has been battling for so long. Wayne was born on February 1st, 1938, to Lloyd L. and Velma Iris Big Shepard, the oldest of 3 sons. He was raised in the northeast corner of Spanish Fork and spent his childhood exploring the untamed wilderness just a few blocks from his home, an area that is now a shopping center near the countless stores and restaurants, as well as a major state highway. Wayne, along with his brothers and friends, spent many summer days hunting squirrels and birds with their BB guns and target shooting tin cans. As Wayne entered his teen years, he found he had inherited his dad's talents on the pitcher's mound, and baseball became a major part of his life. He loved sharing memories of the countless summer days him and his friends spent playing pickup games at the school grounds, sandlot style, when a kind man from town would drop off a gunny sack filled with baseball equipment in the morning and then pick it up later in the afternoon. Wayne pitched for 3 years on the Spanish Fork High School baseball team, graduating in 1956, and then went on to pitch for an advanced team with players selected from throughout the Utah Valley. A talented saxophone player, playing in high school band as well as the Shepherd Orchestra, a band consisting of family members that played at dance halls and parties throughout the Utah County and beyond. Wayne met his lovely wife, Ray, of nearly 69 years, when Rawdon, Maine, in Spanish Fork, tossed his class ring at her and said, "I'll pick it up tomorrow after mutual." And they were married on November 26, 1957, at the Manti Temple. They were blessed with 3 children, Jeffrey, Wayne, Lori, and Brenda. Wayne and Ray enjoyed the outdoors and spent time camping, fishing, and hunting, passing on that love to their kids and later their grandkids. They discovered snowmobiling when their 3 kids were young, and that activity became their new favorite hobby, which is also when, where, and how their love of Fairview Canyon began. They purchased the Fairview property in 1978, and upon retirement, they moved there from the Spanish Fork, Salem area full-time in 2000. In the mid-1970s, Wayne founded and became president of the Skyline Snowrider Snowmobile Club and was instrumental in the construction and enlargement of several parking lots and placement of restrooms along the highway in Skyline Drive and Fairview Canyon. He also led efforts to relocate a former guard station to become a warming hut on the North Skyline Drive, all of which benefit outdoor enthusiasts in Fairview Canyon year-round. Wayne was a member of the Utah Army National Guard, serving 2 tours of duty for a total of 8 years. He enlisted immediately following high school graduation and was recognized as an expert marksman within the artillery division. Wayne has held numerous diverse jobs over the years: Geneva Steel for 30 plus years, while simultaneously doing custom hay work on the old John Deere tractor throughout the valley, which was one of his favorite passions. He also worked as an auto shop aide at SFHS, Meals on Wheels delivery driver, maintenance man at an assisted living home, Head Start bus driver, Sanpete County roadside maintenance, and maintaining the cemetery, ballpark, and museum for Fairview City. Wayne was the ultimate fix-it man and could repair anything with baling wire, or a roll of duct tape. He was the master of inventions, creating a myriad of items that suited whatever project he had going. "It can't be done" was not in his vocabulary. If whatever he needed wasn't available, he would figure it out any way that it could be done, and then he would do it. His love of Fairview Canyon led to a few years of employment as a campground host, a job that he loved. He enjoyed being in the canyon so much that during the winters, whether or not he was on the Forest Service payroll, he would drive up a few times a week and shovel the snow away from the restrooms and make sure that they were clean. Wayne was the perfect husband to Ray, a first-rate dad to his 3 kids, and absolute top-notch grandpa to his grandkids. He taught them all to love and respect the great outdoors, teaching them so much about nature without them even knowing that they were learning. He had the grandkids snowmobiling before they could walk, fishing by the time they could talk, and building campfires by the time they could say their ABCs. Wayne had a teasing streak in him that not many people got to see, but he and the grandkids had a lot of fun teasing and joking with each other. We will all miss these interactions with Dad, Grandpa Wayne, and I'm sure he's getting in some chuckles with those that he is now reunited with. Probably some pretty good fish stories told about her now. Wayne is survived by his loving wife, Ray, who has cared for him relentlessly during his illness, his children, Jeffrey Wayne, and wife, Jane Shepard, and kids, Rick and wife, Angela Rudolph, Matthew and wife, Samantha Rudolph, and Katie Rudolph and fiance, Henry Boshin, and 15 grandkids. Lori and husband, Brad Freytag, and kids, Cody Wayne, Nick, Cameron, Bradley Jake, Casey Arrett, and husband Tyler Shawman, and Lex, and Brenda Shepard with daughter Shelby and granddaughter Autumn Ray. Also survived by his brother Stephen and wife Karen. He was preceded in death by his parents Lloyd L. and Velma Iris Big Shepherd, and his brother Lamar Shepherd. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for that. I failed to mention that I'd like to welcome in those that may be on Livestream. If we're doing that, and hopefully there's others that are tuning into that. So welcome. We would like to now move on to one of the favorite things. Can you turn the TV on there, Cameron? Go ahead and explain.
Okay, so when we were little, one of our favorite things to do was meet at Grandma and Grandpa Shepherd's house, and they would pull out the slides, and we would get to do the slideshow. They fire it up on a wall, and we'd all gather around, all the grandkids, and just watch the slides. And it was just such a fun thing to do for us. So we thought, in honor of Dad today, we will go ahead and do a slideshow, and we're happy you're here to share it with us. Dad is probably not overjoyed to be the center of this one because he didn't really like the attention, but this is for him. So we're going to go at it here. So, okay, we good to go? Yeah. Okay, so this is one of the first pictures we have of Dad. And if you can see here, he's perfecting his scowl at this point. If you knew Dad, you knew he had a pretty good scowl going. And we, as kids growing up, we didn't really push him too far because he just would give us that look with that little bit of scowl, and we would know that, okay, that's probably far enough. We'll go ahead and back off there. So this is a picture of him when Lamar was little. Lamar was a couple years behind Dad. So this is Lloyd and Velma and Dad and Lamar. We have this one again with a scowl. This is how we felt about the shirt and tie. Exactly. So that's why we asked everyone just to dress comfortable today, because he obviously did not love the shirt and tie ever. This is Grandma. I love this picture here. This is when Steve was a baby, and Dad was so Dad was 12 years older than Steve. So Dad was Steve and Lamar there. And then here's one with Dad and Lamar. And we don't have a lot of pictures of Dad and Lamar, but this is kind of fun to see them at that point. And here's Dad with Steve on a bike. And again, 12-year age difference there. So, and then Dad definitely loved the horses. And so we have a picture here of when he was younger. And this would be when they were up on the east side of Spanish there. He did find his love as with the saxophone in junior high, started with the band. So there he is. And he talked about how long the parades always were because they had those heavy wool uniforms most of the time. This looks kind of satiny. I'm sure that was pretty warm as well. This one, we pulled this one up. This is from the yearbook when he was a junior. And he was on the band leadership team there. So that's kind of a fun picture of him there as a junior. There he is in the jazz band at Spanish Fork High. And then this one we loved. This is his senior year. And the caption, all the senior pictures had a caption underneath it. And Dad's was, just call him good looking. So that was a fun one. Here he is on, this would be the advanced team, the baseball team he played with after high school. And they just pulled players from all over the area, but he did love the fact that, and he talked about this a lot, this is kind of where his memory was for the last couple of years. And he did talk about being a pitcher and pitching a game at Dirks Field in Salt Lake. He was pretty proud of that. So go ahead. Talk there. I need to get my drink.
Is it? I was just thinking about the baseball, and one of the good stories about some of the baseball things were that when Wayne pitched the ball, you didn't know where it was going to go exactly, and so he had a great changeup, slow ball, and he was pitching. I think it was over in Price, and he was pitching, and somebody was getting upset the way he was pitching and just couldn't figure him out. And Wayne threw his changeup, and the guy took the bat and was marching out to the pitcher's mound like he was going to go get him and stuff. But Wayne always brought that up. He thought that was a great story. You probably know more about this one.
Okay, so right after Mom and Dad were married, they did go to California with Grandma and Grandpa to see Uncle Lamar, who was in the service, whatever. Okay, and Mom had a brother that lived out there at the time, and he got them tickets to a Major League Baseball game, and they got to go to this baseball game. And if you can see there, the reserve seat price at that time was $2.50, but they did get to see Willie Mays in person, and that was a big deal for them. So Mom kept these tickets all these years. She has a book with all this memento stuff in it, and that was a big deal. They talked about that for forever. That's, again, this is where his memory kind of was the last couple of years, so we did hear about this a lot. Do you want to step in?
Sure.
Well, of course, I've got a complete memory of being 1 year old when I was born and having this picture taken. So, but anyway, Dad was a very kind, caring father. So, yeah. Can we go on the next slide?
Okay. Yep.
And then I had a sister, Lori, show up, and I was probably a little jealous a few times about having her around. So.
Giving it there. And I'm working on the scowl in this picture. It looks like I'm working on the scowl.
Trying to emulate Dad there a little bit. And then we had Brenda show up, and she really emulated Dad's scowl very well throughout the years. So.
Okay, and these are just some of our family as we all got older. This was a Grandma and Grandpa Anderson's 50th wedding. And we thank Aunt Karen for hairdos for a lot of this stuff because she she always did our hair when we had something important going on. In 1988, we added a Brad, so that was kind of fun to add him. 2010, this is the last time that Brenda and Shelby were actually to be in here. And so this is the last picture that we had with the five of us with Brenda at home. So these pictures here, I just wanted to mention that Mom and Dad were just this magical couple that just did everything together, went everywhere together, supported each other in everything they did. So, and we're so grateful that the outdoor thing was such a big deal for them because it means so much to us now and our kids now. And we're so grateful for the opportunities they gave us here. So we could count on pulling into Fairview at any time. They were working on something. It didn't matter. Even just a couple of years ago, it didn't matter if it was 110 degrees outside. It didn't matter if the wind was blowing, whatever. They were working on something, usually together. This one I loved right here. Dad was just going, "Can I have a little kiss on the cheek?" And Mom was just going, "What are you talking about?" So, and this was at Gooseberry. One day we were up there, we had the kayaks out and everybody was fishing and Mom and Dad just pulled up and just sat at the picnic table for a while and just enjoyed just being in the outdoors with us. When they had their 50th anniversary, Dad absolutely refused to have any kind of a anniversary party. He said, "Absolutely not. I don't want to be the center of attention. I don't want it." So we put them in their motorhome and we all took our trailers and we went and took them up to Yellowstone. And that's how we spent their 50th anniversary. So that was fun. He did let us, he relented on the 61st and we were able to have a little bit of a gathering for them. 61 years is pretty amazing. And we are 3 months shy right now of 69 years. So that says something. That's kind of a high mark to match there. So this picture right here, I just think it says so much about their relationship. So last fall, Mom had some extensive work done on her mouth and her teeth and stuff. And this picture right here was taken the very last time she had work done there. So we're in the doctor's office and they're just waiting and she was nervous. And anyway, I went out to get a drink and I came back and this is how they were sitting. And I just think that really exemplifies their relationship, and that meant so much for that. So we have yeah.
How's it gonna?
We have a song that we're gonna have played.
I'm gonna ask Nick. Do you have your phone? Bring your phone up. We're gonna do this old-fashioned way.
Yeah. So this is a song that is just so important to Mom, and she just really, really wanted it to be a part of this. So.
Okay, we're gonna play it right here.
Okay.
Oh, you ready? Okay, go ahead.
Softly, I will leave you softly, for my heart would break if you should wake and see me go. So I leave you softly, long before you miss me, long before your arms can beg me stay for one more hour or one more day. After all the years, I can't bear the tears to fall. So softly, as I leave you there, softly, long before you miss me, long before your arms can beg me stay for one more hour or one more day. After all the years, I can't bear the tears to fall. So softly, as I leave you there, as I leave you there, as I leave you
That was a special song that Ray had performed with her trio group as years ago. And so, okay. All right. Now we'd like to just kind of go through the family, and we all have a collection of things we'd like to show you and share with you.
So just push the arrow down.
Okay. All right. All right. As I was growing up as a kid, Dad always had a unique way of communicating with me. My bedroom was normally underneath his bedroom, and he would stomp on the floor, and that would mean one of several things. One, either turn my stereo down. Two, get up, go bale hay. Or three, wake your sister up. Her alarm clock's too loud and it's waking everybody else in the house up. Sorry, Laura, but so anyway, that was rather entertaining. And also, Dad was known as White Top with his CB handle. When we were doing hay, he would always call me Little White Top, and that's how we would communicate as we were working around the fields. And anyway, some of my favorite inventions that White Top had came up with was related to the snowmobile. First, and I don't know if you saw it or not, but he had made a quick release strap out of a child safety restraint thing from a shopping cart, where he had cut the two parts of the safety strap off and tied them to the chin strap on his helmet, and made the very first quick release strap I had ever seen. So that was one of the great things he had came up with. He also made come up with some snowmobile trailer tow hitches that pulled me out of frequent problems. When my snowmobile would break down, he would give me he would pull me out with the snowmobile tow hitch. One of the other things he did was he got us into the grass drag racing back in the early years, and he developed a way to lubricate the snowmobile track to help increase the speed of the snowmobile. And that was kind of fun because he would tinker on the snowmobiles during the week. I'd come home from college on the weekends, and we would constantly be riding the snowmobiles in the fields. Oh, I'm sorry. I should be advancing slides here. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, let's go on to the baseball stuff. Dad really loved the baseball. In fact, when we were kids, he would bring us up to down to the east ballpark, which was up on the bench, and he'd have the whole family out there playing baseball, which was great, especially since it was on Sunday afternoons. And Mom always got harassed about playing on a Sunday, but she always said it's a great family thing to do on a Sunday. So we really enjoyed that. And then I got into Little League baseball. Dad coached me in Little League, Pony League, and the Colt League baseball teams that I played on. Then after that, I put together an advanced league ball team, and Dad coached us on that. And Dad loved every coaching experience he had, with the exception of when Merlin Hickman slid into third base and broke his leg. He didn't care for that too much, but Dad really did enjoy harassing me about I used to pitch a little bit, and out at Mount Pleasant during one of our games, somebody hit a ball over the caboose that was out behind the left field fence, and that ball's actually still in orbit today going. But he always liked teasing me about that one. So. And then here's a picture of the tractor that Dad loved to be on. And what he did is, as part of his custom hay business, we would probably do custom jobs of 5 to 20 acres. But one day he picked up a bigger job that was about 75 acres, and he had to rent an additional tractor and baler to finish the job. I was trying to help out, and I poured 5 gallons of diesel into the tractor so we could move it over to the field to start the job. My dad was somewhere and came home and said, "That's a gas tractor, you idiot." So, but he was able to get the diesel out of it and straightened out and got it running. And we actually went over and started baling that hay that night, probably around midnight. And then a couple hours later, I noticed Dad was just sitting on his trailer or his tractor. It wasn't moving anywhere. And I went around the field, pulled up to him, and he was sitting there holding a tire that had came off the baler I was using that had gone flat and worked its way off the baler. So Yeah, I figured he was going to fire me after that. So, but he was able to get that fixed at 2 o'clock in the morning at Spanish Fork. In that point in time, there were no stores, no shops, nothing around. So I don't know where he had to go to get that fixed, but he finally did get the tire fixed, and we got that the job done. Okay. The other thing he loved doing was pheasant hunting. And since he did the custom hay work all over the county, he normally knew where the best pheasant hunting places were, which we enjoyed doing, going everywhere. But one of the better places was right behind our Salem house on the hill above the BYU dairy farm. And so we'd go out there hunting. And Dad had a dog that was partially trained, but would like to get out in front of you about 50 yards, which is beyond shotgun range, and kick up the birds in front of us. Occasionally, Dad would get a shot at a bird, and he'd knock him down. But that dog kept it real entertaining, since most of the roosters that he kicked up was too far away for me to get a shot. And I would shoot a box of shells and never hit a bird, but I still love the hunting anyway. But what was kind of comical about the whole thing is, after hunting behind our house, we'd wake up the morning after the pheasant hunt had ended and hear a rooster cackling out in the backyard there. So we didn't get everything we needed or could have. So, and then Dad, Lori mentioned that Dad loved horses. Well, he had a horse named Snorkels that he kind of had a love-hate relationship with. We were living up on the bench there in Spanish Fork, and one year before the deer hunt, Dad was out trying to break Snorkels in, and he happened to have a bucket of matches in his pocket. Well, the motion of riding the horse lit the matches. So he starts trying to slap the matches out of his pocket, and the horse took off on him. And there's no fences up there at that point in time. But the horse took off, and they finally came back about 30 minutes later. Snorkels was all lathered up. My dad was cussing a blue streak. And I'd like to say one of them two learned a lesson, but that didn't happen. Every morning at the deer hunt, after Dad's saddled Snorkels, there'd be a little rodeo going on. Sometimes he'd ride the horse away. Other times we'd end up chasing the horse up the mountain. So it was an interesting time all the way around. So, yeah. And then right now I have a house in Ohio, and I spend a lot of time there. But whenever I do come back from Ohio, we'll always I'll go over to Mom and Dad's, and we'd watch a baseball game, normally the Yankees versus the Red Sox. Of course, Dad was a Yankees fan, and I'm a Red Sox fan. So we had a little issue going on there. But sooner or later, Dad would get around to asking a question. Do you remember that road you made? One of his favorite fishing lakes up Fairview Canyon was at Cleveland Reservoir, and we'd headed up fishing one time, and the road down to the lake was washed out. So I took a little jaunt down just to the side of the washed out part of the road to get us down to the fishing hole, and then use that to get us back up out. And Dad started calling that Jeff's Road. So he'd always ask me about that. And then one other time we were up there at Cleveland and walked down to a different fishing spot by the dam, and we passed a couple of gentlemen that were fishing there, and they said, "Don't bother wasting your time fishing here. We've been here for 2 hours and haven't caught anything." So we walked about 50 feet up the bank there and started casting out, and we cut our limit about 40 minutes. So that was the other thing Dad would always ask me. Do you remember that time the guys told you not to waste your time fishing here because there's no fish? But we caught our fish and nothing flat. So he always liked to brag about that one. And here's one where Lori said that we purchased the house around 78. Well, there was a lot of rocks and the junk pile there. It was an old ranch house or ranch property that Mom and Dad had bought. So there's some garbage around, and Dad always liked watching us pick up the garbage and haul it over to another trash area. So, and that was part of him watching us clean up the stuff. So, and that's just another picture of him watching us working there. He liked keeping us busy and out of trouble, or so he thought. So, yeah. And then this one here is a picture of us trying to address a skunk problem that the house had had. The house had been vacated for quite a while, and some skunks had moved in to the house or underneath the house. And Dad tried a couple different ways to get rid of the skunks. The first thing he'd do is he'd put big rocks in front of the holes underneath the house to try and keep the skunks out. Well, the rock chucks had come and moved the rocks and let the skunks back in underneath the house. So that didn't do any good. But he kept trying and trying to figure out a way to get rid of the skunks. In fact, one of the more entertaining efforts that he made was he placed a stereo down, well, a little radio back in those days, put that down underneath the house, turned it on Western music full volume, trying to drive the skunks out, which we all laughed about because we thought that was just going to be a skunk party and have them all show up and keep coming back time after time, which they did. So, but sooner or later, Dad finally did figure out a way to get rid of the skunks, and everything was good there. So, okay. And the other thing about the house down there when they first bought it, it didn't have any, well, it had electric baseboard heat in there. But in the wintertime, they turned the heat off to keep the pipes, well, they'd turn the water off to keep the pipes from freezing. But we'd use it as a snowmobile house. So we'd head down there, we'd go up snowmobiling, come back down to the house, and it'd be bitter cold in the house. And the primary source of heat that they were using was wood and coal fireplaces, and in the living room, and one in the stove in the kitchen. So we'd be sitting there in our snowmobile clothes, watching TV, waiting for the house to warm up. So, but after it finally warm up, we'd sit there and plan the next day activities. So. And then again, White Top loved the snowmobiles, and he loved working on them as much as he did riding them. In the early years, we'd go for a weekend ride, and it seemed like he'd spend a week working on them so we could ride them again the following year. And like I mentioned, in the fall, he liked doing the grass drags, and yeah, that was fun because timing me as I'm trying to race to beat the previous time. He'd hit the stopwatch, and I would go, and sometimes I was slow, and he'd chew on me for not being quick to hit the hammer. But anyway, we really did enjoy I really enjoyed the grass drags and everything he did with that. So. And as much as he tinkered, he did like to relax. And this was on one of the rides that we had, and I think that was probably up around the warming hut up at on the North Skyline Drive. So, yeah, so he just loved being outdoors all the time and doing as much as he could to keep us kids out there enjoying life. So, and then one time he figured, okay, it's time to go up and see some competitive snowmobile climbs up at Jackson Hole. So we all headed up there. We get up there first day. Dad and I get out there, and the races started probably about 10 or 11 in the morning. And it's the first we've seen of these highly modified sleds going up a real steep ski run. So Dad and I was really enjoying it. And Mom decides it's time to get a picture taken. Okay, so as you can tell from this picture, Both Dad and I are scaling pretty good, and I
I
think
was just going to say, these are not artificial scowls. Mom was mad at Dad and Jeff. Jeff was mad at everybody. And so it's a pretty true to life picture.
Thanks, sis. But it ended up being a good time after all. So, and then Dad really didn't like traveling out of the state very much. But at one point in time, when I was living in Oklahoma City, we were able to get him to come out for Thanksgiving dinner, and we went and visited the Cowboy Museum in Oklahoma City that had the John Wayne display, and then we went down to the local single A ballpark where they had a statue of Mickey Mantle, which was one of Dad's favorite players. So I think overall, even though I think Lori had to drag him out there kicking and screaming, I think he had a good time out there. And then this was another Thanksgiving picture that we took after I moved back to Utah and had a house up in Farmington. And it's a picture of all of us there. And then gifts were always a fun thing with Dad. He liked wrapping things in a multitude of ways and trying to make us guess as to what the gift was going to be. And this was one of the ones that we had wrapped up in a frame. And anyway, Dad finally guessed it, and that was what we had wrapped the gift in. And we were just having a good time laughing about that. So. But one of the other things that was entertaining was one time he gave me a tow hitch for Christmas, and he had wrapped all the pieces of the tow hitch individually. And he gave me one piece, which just happened to be a bolt. I said, guess what this is? And based on the fact I could feel the bolt, I guessed it was a tow hitch. And it just kind of freaked him out and disappointed him. So we all had a good laugh over that. So, okay, sis, you're up.
Okay, so my favorite Dad Wayne quote. So we all knew him he had his little funky quotes that he would share, and so we kind of all have thought of something that was important to us there. So my thing with him was eat the cake. So when Casey and Lex just turned a year old, it was October. We had Grandma down to the house at Fairview, and we celebrated their birthday. And at the end of dinner, we brought out the birthday cake, and Grandma was saying, "Oh, I wish I could have some of that cake. That looks so good. I just want some of that cake." And Dad said, "Well, eat some cake." And she said, "Oh, Dr. Bateman told me I can't have cake." And Dad said, "How old are you?" And she said, 83. And he said, "Are you going to live longer if you don't eat the cake?" And she said, "Well, probably not." And he goes, "Do you want to eat the cake?" And she said, "I would love some cake." And he said, "Eat the cake." So she did. She ate the cake. And that has stuck with me because when Dad started getting sick about 4 years ago, he, weird things were happening. Well, he had a stomach thing going. And Jeff had said, "Well, I read somewhere that if you do ginger, that will help with stomach upset issues." So I have a real good friend that makes fabulous ginger cookies. And so I tried everything. I tried week after week to make ginger cookies, but I couldn't make it work. Fairview altitude and the baking thing for me was just not working. So anyway, we came up with a thing that worked as well. We did the snickerdoodle recipe, and in the cinnamon sugar, you add a little bit of ginger to that, a little bit of other stuff. And he really, really, really loved those cookies. And he had not eaten sugar or sweet anything for decades. And so that was kind of our thing. And so every single week I went down there, I was doing cookies. usually snickerdoodles because that was his thing. And then we tried to, fit in a few for mom. And anyway, we always want some of the freezer for the kids to come. And so, but that's what I just kept thinking is eat the cake. And his dad got older and had more issues. And then we're like, there's so few things right now that give him joy. And the cookies are one thing so we'll keep up with the cookies. So we did that. My favorite Wayne invention, I had come across these boxes of the bowl covers for leftovers that you put in your fridge, and the plastic with the elastic around the edge. And I bought a couple boxes and I took them down to their house and I put them in the drawer that has the foil and the baggies and stuff. Next week I went down and they were gone. And I was like, Mom, where are the little covers? And she's like, I have no idea. I have not seen them. Well, yeah. Later, I walked out and right through the garage on the top shelf, Dad had lined up all of his snow boots, and he had a ton of snow boots. And he had taken these bowl covers and put them over the top of all of his boots just to keep all the little critters out. And I thought it's pretty ingenious that I don't know how he even found them in the drawer, but he did. That was pretty smart. Dad was a master of repurposing anything. So yeah, it was pretty entertaining to see what he was coming up with. Okay, I brought this blanket. Mother, I brought this blanket. So this blanket right here, Mom and Dad got for their wedding. And again, 3 months shy of 69 years. When I was this age here, maybe just a little bit older, I had pneumonia and I was in the Payson Hospital. And the few things I remember about that is being locked in the plastic thing with no way to get out. I think that's where my claustrophobia started at that age. But when it was time to come home, they finally let me go. Dad came and got me and wrapped me up in this blanket. And I distinctly remember him carrying me from the hospital to the car wrapped in this blanket. And over the years, it's been used and used and used. And over the years, it had holes, so I'd cut little pieces off, whatever. And then somehow when I got married and moved to the new house, this blanket came with me. So I just kept the blanket. It's just so great. And so all of our kids growing up, as they didn't feel well, they got sick or whatever, this was the blanket everyone always went for. So I happen to have this picture of Cameron. Sorry, Cam. He was sick on Christmas Day and he snuggled in the pink blanket there. But it just has always been such a reminder to me of Dad and carrying me out of that hospital, even at that young of an age. 2019, I got shingles right before Christmas, the worst thing ever. And Mom and Dad had already done all their Christmas shopping. And one Saturday, I was laying there. Of course, I'm there with Max, and we're watching a Jazz game, afternoon game. And knock at the door, and it's Mom and Dad. And this was just, 2019, not terribly long ago. Mom and Dad had decided to come up and bring me my Christmas present because they knew I wasn't feeling well, and they thought the blanket would be so great for me. And I appreciated that so much, mainly because to get them in Utah County after they moved to Fairview was a feat unto itself. And so it meant so much that they took the time and effort to bring that up to me there. When I was in junior high, I got a cassette tape recorder for Christmas. It was the best thing ever. And we had told Dad all these years that he snores so bad. Does he not snore, Uncle Steve? He snores so I did. I took one time, it was just right before this, and I had actually recorded him on my new recorder snoring. So anyway, that was that. Jeff mentioned the hayfield. We grew up in the hayfield. I learned to drive the little truck there when I was about 13, in and out the hay bales, the little stick shift, and that was great. And also we were just hauling hay. We were turning the back swath. And I just came across this picture here. And also, it is a really bad hair perm because I was doing my own perms at that time. So that's where we are in the 70s. I mentioned that when I'd pull down to Dad's house, even in recent years, he was always outside working, doing something. And it was heavy work. This particular day here, he was working on that little bridge to go over the creek. And it was over 100 degrees and it was sweltering hot. And I'd be like, Dad, let's be done. Let's go take a break and then we can finish later. He's like, no, I just want to get it done. And he was just amazing to just keep working and working and working. He was, I consider, a collector of campers. He had many, many campers over the years. But one thing that sticks in my mind is when I was a senior in high school, my friends were all going to go up to Diamond Fork camping over spring break. And I had asked Dad probably half a dozen times, can I take your Coleman, the green Coleman camp stove? That would really help us while we're up there. You know, can I take that? And he never really committed either way. Can I take it, Dad? Yeah. And so finally, a couple days before we were going to go, I said, Dad, did you think about if it's okay for me to take that green Coleman stove? And he said, I've been thinking, and I'm going to load that camper up for you. And I was just like, wow, you know, because that was a big thing. It was a lot of work for him to do. And for him to even trust me with his truck and his camper to be with my friends in Diamond Fork, it just meant a lot to me. And I just think Dad had a compassionate, sentimental side that not many people got to see, but it was definitely there, and I appreciated that. This is just one of the other campers. And Mom mentioned a time when they were first married, she'd heard all this great stuff about Fish Lake. Everyone wants to go to Fish Lake, and it's so beautiful, and let's go to Fish Lake. So Dad promised her a trip to Fish Lake, and they were headed down, and they were on the little highway. And as they got to Casherum Reservoir, that's right off the side of the road, Dad said, there it is. What do you think? And she went, what? Is that Fish? What? Anyway, no, obviously it was not Fish Lake, but he kind of got her a good one there. And yeah, she mentions that a lot. So we did a lot of snowmobiling in Fairview Canyon, as Jeff mentioned. And we also went there a lot in the summer. But because we rode in the camper, we usually couldn't see where we were going. It took me a couple of years to realize that the same place we were going in the winter was also the same place we were going in the summer, because it looks so different there in the different seasons. But I remember, there were multiple times Dad would get out of the truck and he would just stand there and he would just look around and just look around. And then he would say, God's country. And I would be like, yes, it is. It really is. This is a trip we took to West Yellowstone. We got to the summit right there above, was it Island Park? And anyway, as we crested, there was a semi that had jackknifed across the road. So all we could do is like Dad jerked the motor home, and we had a trailer full of snowmobiles behind. We ended up in the bank on the side, but it was literally 10 feet of just powder fluff. And so this is him kind of shoveling there. And this has just always been one of our favorite pictures. This is when we went to Two Top Mountain on that trip. And so we had the 4 snowmobiles a lot, and I usually just jumped on behind Dad and rode behind him a lot. And just lots of good memories there. This is after he helped me fix up my Camaro I bought. We actually got him in a tuxedo for the wedding, which I think is the only time. I think that's the only time. Yeah. He even had the tuxedo shoes and everything, but he was tugging. By about 3 minutes in, he was yanking at that tie. And he just was such a great grandpa to our kids. This is before we had Casey and Lex, but he would take them all over Sanpete County trying to find a little hill to go sledding on. And he just had so much fun with them, and they with him. We love to take them on the rides. And everybody always annoyed because I'm like, stop for a picture. And I'm so grateful we have all these pictures. This was us up at Yellowstone Lake and Cleveland when he was working as a camp host up there. One of his favorite canyons beyond Fairview is Huntington Canyon. So every time, even 2 weeks ago, we went for a ride, and we went and hit that guard station, and that was our turnaround point. For Christmas a couple of years ago, we found this sign, and it was one you just ordered online. I'm like, well, Dad'll probably like that because it kind of has the Forest Service, image type thing on it. So we got him the sign, and, it's this big, and it hangs on the door. And he opened it, and he said, that is really, really great. It would be even greater if it was as big as that wall right there. So we just went, challenge accepted. So we made him one as big as a wall. And he was so happy with this. This ended up in the sunroom, and Casey and Lex painted it for us. And so it was always fun to try to find something interesting he would appreciate as a gift, because he wasn't really a material person, but it was fun to come up with stuff like this. Speaking of that, these are reflective driveway markers that we got for him for Christmas, and he just was so happy to get these driveway markers. It was really fun there. His birthday, February 1st, mine February 2nd. So we always did the birthday party together. And that was just a lot of fun. This picture right here. So this is up at just past the South Skyline parking lot. And he was up working one day. And I believe this was volunteer work. He wasn't being paid. He wasn't on the payroll, but we got up there and he was trying to put this beacon training sign up. So the boys all jumped in and helped him. But what I remember most about this day was while they were doing this, Brad and I were shoveling out the bathroom. But I went and said to Dad, Dad, so why is it such a big deal to you to come up this canyon and make sure these bathrooms are clean and shoveled out? Why can't the people just find a tree like we always did back in the day, right? And Dad said, well, I don't do it for the snowmobilers. He said, I do it for them old people. He was like 78 at the time. Them old people that live in Price that drive over the canyon to go to the Mount Temple. They need a place to stop. They need a place to use the restroom, and they need to have it safe where they won't slip and fall. And so I thought, Dad was not a religious man, but he was very spiritual, but he knew what that meant to those people. And so that was the driving force for him to do that. And I just thought that was amazing. Amazing dad. A rough last couple years, but what a great dad, what a great grandpa, what a great husband. And we're just so grateful. We're just so grateful. He's at peace, and we're all so blessed.
All right. I have a favorite saying, and my kids are laughing. They know what this is. Wonder what the poor people are doing. Now, you don't really have to understand exactly what this is, but he would say it, and his good friend Bill Snell would say it too, and way back in the day. And I just sort of picked up on it. We're sitting around campfire or whatever and having a good time and having dinner or whatever. And I'll say something like, Nick, wonder what the poor people are doing right now. I guess it just means that we're the poor people. But for this moment in time, we're living like kings. And Wayne said that many times, and it was pretty cool. The Waynevention. So Wayne was really, really resourceful. I mean, he wouldn't go buy anything. Yeah, he would just think of things to make, like around the garage, around the shop. And some of these things were pretty amazing. Some of them were pretty entertaining, but some of them were pretty amazing. And early on in our marriage, we bought a house, and along that, you had to take care of the yard, and we had to buy a lawnmower. So we bought a lawnmower, and this was our first lawnmower we bought way back in the day. And it breaks. Okay. So it broke down. So we got another lawnmower. And Wayne says, what are you going to do with that one? And I says, well, probably, I don't know. You want it? And he says, yeah, I'll take it. So time had passed and everything like that. And we go down to Fairview, and he has made this snowplow out of the old lawnmower. He takes the motor off, and he had things around. I think that's probably a plow from a shovel. And so you might look at it and go, hey, where's the wheels to that thing? It did have wheels. It had the big wheels in the back and the small ones in the front. It did have wheels. Well, there's the wheels. So back before they started putting wheels on coolers and things like that, he had made this out of one of the existing coolers he had around the house. So he's got the big wheels in the back, and on the front, he's got a sawed off handle for a shovel, And then that's attached to an angle, like a closet angle bracket that he found laying around. And he put those together. He didn't even go buy nuts and bolts. It was just whatever was laying around. The nuts and bolts that he had in his shop, he made them work. Didn't he, Jake? Yeah, he did. There it is in action. We headed out fishing. Oh, it was such a good time. Here's another invention. He had his fishing tackle in an old suitcase. Most of us would buy tackle boxes, but not Wayne. He had a suitcase, and the handle broke on the suitcase. And I don't know if you can see, but the handle is a wooden dowel that's baling twine hooked on to this old suitcase. It worked pretty good. I'll have to say, it did work pretty good. All right, this one might be self-explanatory, but yeah, that's me and Wayne, and we're racing on riding lawnmowers. Just a great time. He put me to work. Yeah, that is me. Woo! That's a long time ago. He put me to work right away. Always doing yard work and whatever we can do to help out. And all these years later, there we are in Fairview, still working. And this was taken not long ago. We were fixing just something down on the Fairview property. And so me and Lori had been going out for a couple years, and we decided to get married. And I had asked Wayne. Well, when it came time, I thought I would ask Wayne if we could, if I could. I think the exact words were, well, wait a minute, I got to back up. We're in the kitchen, and we're just sort of talking and stuff like that. And Laura's there, and I'm there, and Wayne's there. I think Ray was there too in the kitchen. And Wayne's conversation, he starts to walk off, and I says, hold up, you got to stay here for this. Don't preface anything with that, because then, what's going on? Anyway, I said, I was just wondering if I could become a permanent part of your family. Sorry. And in Wayne fashion, he says, guess you can. And that was it. Yeah. So he was simple. He was pure country. This is us up snowmobiling. I think the only prerequisite for joining the family is that I had to be a Polaris guy. So that's what happened. We were all Polaris, right, Jeff?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Yeah. So you might notice that this camper's on this truck in a lot of these pictures. He kept it. That was his mantra. That you knew that was Wayne with that truck and camper. That was his trademark. And he didn't use it for camping. He used it as a toolbox. It wasn't a camper at all. It was basically a toolbox. Well, one time he was going down Main Street here, just in Spanish Fork here, and he got pulled over because he didn't have a renewal sticker on that camper. And the police officer says, yeah, you don't have it currently registered as a camper. And Wayne says, it's not a camper. And the police officer says, well, it looks like one. So Wayne took him around back and opened the door and said, look in there. Does that look like a camper to you? And the police officer says, well, I guess it doesn't, but I'm just going to give you a warning, but you still need a sticker on this thing. So, but that was, you definitely knew that was Wayne. This is us up snowmobiling. This is the love of snowmobiling, that hobby, that sport. He was really into that, and we loved it. This was in the parade years ago when that current snowmobile was still new. We were in the Fairview parade, and the Skyline Snow Riders took part of that. And we also did a little, Adopt a Highway up in Fairview Canyon. The Skyline Snow Riders did an Adopt a Highway where you go clean up a portion of the roadside up the canyon. And with all good intentions, the club started out good and everything like that, but it ended up being mostly our family towards the end. We'd all gather and go up and do a cleanup of the roadside up Fairview Canyon. We took many rides up the canyon. It was one of the favorite things Wayne liked to do. And here's at Nick's wedding, and my Aunt Val had made it out from Oregon and was able to meet Wayne and Ray, and that was a special time. More riding in the car. He knew when we were taking a picture. He would just sort of turn his head and smile and wave. Just more time up the canyon. What a great time. All these car rides. They wouldn't get out of the car, so we had them stay in the car to take this picture. Wayne played saxophone. Couple of these pictures are from not too long ago. And I think the most impressive thing for me is that he was out of breath when he would walk from the front room to the kitchen, but yet he had enough wind to blow through that horn and make it work. It was incredible. I think the most ironic thing about this picture is that I don't like puzzles, but there we are putting a puzzle together. Being a part of this family has been just great. Wayne was such a great person. He was such a great example for all things. And I've told Wayne or Ray sometimes in the past that I pretty much consider Wayne and Ray as close or closer than my own parents. So grateful for that. And I know that they've been a great example for all my kids. And now I'm going to ask, are you going to do Brenda? Brenda?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to come up? Okay. And then, okay.
Okay, so Brenda couldn't be here. She is back in New Hampshire, not doing really well health-wise, but we did want to share just a little bit about Brenda and include her in this. So Brenda, every time she would call, and Mom would go, "Say hello to your dad," and she would go, "Hey, Daddy-o," and he would say, "Hey, kiddo," and that was an every single time thing. And when she first went back there to nanny, right after she graduated from college, her favorite thing was to come in at Christmas time and surprise Mom and Dad. So she'd work with us and she'd go, "Pick me up at the airport, but don't tell him. And they'd be all sad and depressed that she wasn't coming in, and then she'd show up. One of Dad's favorite thing was the Kenny and Dolly song, "I'll Be Home with Bells On." And so that just has always been associated with Dad and Brenda. Tell the story. So this is Brenda perfecting the scowl again.
But when we were living on the bench there, when Brenda was younger, she had a tendency to roam over to the neighbor's yard, and she always liked their strawberries. Okay. Dad caught her over there one day, went over, grabbed her, and Brenda started walking back with him. And she was using the worst word, screaming at Dad she could think of, saying, "You dummy, you dummy, you dummy." So.
Okay, and then we just found a few more pictures of her. So Dad worked a ton. He was working at Geneva, and then during the summer he was doing all the hay work. So it was always really special for us for, like, if we had a primary activity or whatever, daddy-daughter dinner date in this case, he would always trade work and make sure he was there for us. And that really meant a lot because he was just so busy all the time. Brenda loved being a part of the snowmobile thing too. She was pretty aggressive as a rider, a driver. She had the guts to go a lot of places that some of us didn't, and she really enjoyed that. This is a picture of Brenda and Dad. They had been on a snowmobile together, and as we went that direction, they broke down. And we didn't realize they were not behind us. And so we went all the way to the warming hand. As we come back, they were just sitting there on the hill there together, just waiting. They knew we'd come back and they knew we'd help them. This is when she was just first headed out to nanny. She started in Newport, Rhode Island, and has since just moved further north. There's her and Dad at the airport. And then this again is in 2010. That's the last time that she was able to be in with Shelby, and we got a family picture here all together. She came in on her own a couple of years ago. We celebrated her 57th birthday with a bottle of Heinz 57. And her favorite thing, she wanted cake. She wanted the peanut butter Rice Krispie treats. So that's her birthday cake right there. And then there on the side is just when she was leaving and saying her farewell to Dad right there. So then she had Shelby, her daughter, in 97. And we did get Dad on an airplane, and we got back to, they were in Massachusetts at the time. And we were able to get him back there to see baby Shelby. So these are little cute clips of Shelby. And then Shelby has a daughter now, and they named her Autumn Rain after Mom and Dad, middle name Rain. And she is just a cutie. And then this is a recent picture of Brenda and Shelby. And again, Brenda's not been in the best of health, and we've been just grateful to get some pictures and keep the conversation going with her. Okay. So the kids are going to come up real quick and just share some of their memories. And we'll try to keep it. Come on up, guys. It's hard to just kind of wrap everything of 88 years into a funeral time. So, yeah. So we'll just have them step up and show a few pictures and a few memories.
Well, I'm sure we've all heard that plenty of times. Growing up as a kid, that, more often than not, it would mean I disagree with what you're saying, and I'm about to tell you why. I want to be where the people aren't. Definitely took that from him. Yeah, I remember that one real well. I think my biggest memory, or most of my memories, are every time I would have one-on-one time with Grandpa. Priority was fishing every time, on the boat, on a river, any of these lakes, in the snow even, that'll come up here in a minute. Plenty of snowmobiling. Just working around the Fairview house all the time. Every time we would come down, he'd have a project for us. Never had to worry about that. He was always there to help me with anything I'm doing. This is me at my Eagle project for scouting out at the canyon. And yeah, any time of the year, we were going fishing together. And my favorite Wayne invention is the chairs he made to bring along when the lakes would get low and the banks would get steep. He made these chairs, and he cut the back of the legs off them, of these metal chairs, and bolted fishing holders on the end of it. And yeah, we could just go out anywhere, anytime. Didn't even matter. Yeah, went so many places. This is the very last picture we got together. This was, when was this? This is my birthday? It's my birthday. So, yeah, he taught me so much. I got a lot of baseball pitching knowledge, saxophone. I ended up taking up a lot of the same things that he did in my early childhood. So, yeah, it was so great. And I'm so grateful to Grandpa and Grandma for being such a massive part of all of our grandkids' lives. So thank you.
All right, I guess I'm next. So yeah, I'm Nick. I'm the second oldest of my mom. Well, obviously of my mom, but of Lori. And I'm grateful I was the second born, so I didn't have to go first. So thanks, Cody, for that. But my favorite quote of Grandpa, he had a bunch of stories that he would always tell every time I would go over there. It was always just kind of the same handful of stories, which you think would be annoying, but I always loved them, especially kind of in the later years there, just having that memory recollection. So I never got tired of hearing them. It was more sad kind of when I stopped hearing them, but he always had a couple for me that he'd bust out. I think this one's my mom's favorite too, but it's from when I was a young kid, and me and Grandpa were outside working, doing something in the sun, and he says, "I'm sweating like a pig." And I said, "How much does a pig sweat, Grandpa?" And he just thought that was like the funniest thing. So he always loved to remind me of it. I don't really specifically remember it, but I remember him. He would just tell me about it all the time. So my favorite Wayne invention, and these are, you can buy these now where the wheelbarrows have 2 wheels. It seems pretty self-explanatory because they can just balance and stuff. But I mean, back in the day, it was always just the one single wheel in the middle. But if it had wheels on it, he was going to modify it. So he would always find other wheels that he could jerry rig it to make it so they would turn from the single wheel into the 2 wheels. So you won't find a single wheelbarrow at my grandparents' place that isn't either customized and only has 1 wheel. So I just love that. I really think he should have been like an inventor. You just walk around the property and there's so many little like things that he would just kind of come up with that you wouldn't even kind of think of. So this is me, obviously, and Grandpa just real young. I love that snowmobile figurine that you can see in the background there. They still have that at the house. And, you can just tell from just such an early age, even before I can remember, Grandpa and Grandma and just being such a big part of our life growing up. So here's us again, Christmas. Starting to get hair coming in. This is before Lex and Casey were born at the Fairview property there. And this one I love even before some of the additions and renovations on the property. But it's nice having the wide view shot there. It looks like a simple place to anyone who doesn't know it, but to us it's a sanctuary. So just so many good memories. Yeah, more of us just at the Fairview property, and just so grateful to him and in the childhood. Always doing something like a little weird in my pictures for sure. But this blue chair actually that great grandma is sitting on, I actually I'll say stole it, but I got it out of the storage. I actually have this in my room right now. I didn't even notice until we were reviewing, going through like old pictures like this. But yeah, Fairview House was just magical. Just such a good childhood. Here's Grandpa with me and Cam fishing. We try to honor him, go fishing as much as we can. So we go to his favorite places, and I don't think it's a coincidence that his favorite Lake Gooseberry. That's where we're catching all the big fish right now. So I think he's got part in that. This camp out, Grandpa loved taking us camping. And I remember this one specifically, just kind of locked away as one of those, like, that's the perfect kind of like trip. So this is up at Cleveland Campground. I remember the spot exactly. And he had the couple 4-wheelers, and he would just get the spot ready to go, and we would just have like such a fun time. Here's me and him. I think this is before I had my license even, popping around in the Trailblazer. Grateful that, again, you can just see how much of a presence he had, in our life. So my mom mentioned how hard it was to get him out of the house into Utah County. So any of the pictures you see where he's either not in his Fairview house or at a lake or in the mountains, it was a big deal, and it always meant a lot. So this is, a birthday picture, but at my parents' house growing up. And, anytime he would come through to something and go out of the house, it like really meant a lot. He really didn't even have to say anything, but just by nature of him getting out there, it really meant a lot. So here's a graduation, again, getting him out. It just meant like so much. I'm also a February birthday, so I joined the February birthday club. So my grandpa, my mom, and me, we would usually celebrate all of our birthdays together. And this is the shed, or not the shed, but the bunkhouse, what we call it. So it's where the younger kids usually stay when we go and stay at the Fairview property. Birthday club again. I just love this picture of me and him. There's nothing like too special to it, but just love that picture. Birthday club. This was a really fun one just a couple years ago. So he was kind of struggling a lot with like mobility and stuff. But we were able to get him out to the lake and get him out on the shore there, and, get the sun hat on and just cast a couple lines out. And it was, really good memory. Driving up, I think this is at the guard station, like my dad might have mentioned. Here's just a great picture of us too. Nothing to go along with it, and obviously, with my grandma too. Just so blessed, and really just had such a big part in just giving such a fun childhood, and having the Fairview house down there to go down to. It was really like having like a vacation house, and you got almost like a B&B. My grandpa would always make the best breakfast sandwiches. So I think that's where I got the love for those. And this is a great memory. This is also just in the last couple of years. So sometimes he would surprise you and get out. And I had just gone down one time, and he asked me if I wanted to hop on the back of the tractor and go pick up rocks. And we used to do that all the time when we were kids. We would, like the fields he was working and stuff, we would not really do much of the farm work, but we were always there to go follow the tractor around and pick up rocks and kind of clear the fields out. So, that was a great memory. So, loved him. And just really grateful and really, really grateful. So,
in the essence of time, I've just asked the kids to kind of go quick. So we're going to. So go ahead, Jake.
Well, it's me and Cameron both.
Sure.
There you go. Cameron, come up.
Just go
Both
for it.
short and quick. So we're the first twins. We annoyed our parents so much that we spent a lot of time with the grandparents. And so we have a lot of good memories with them. I won't go hunting with you, Jake, but we'll go chasing women. I was like 8, singing that with my grandpa, walking through fields or whatever, and then teaching me how to whistle and all that stuff. One of the funnest inventions, we got really big into snowmobiling, me and my brother. We got our friends into snowmobiling. Our uncle got us into snowmobiling. That came from my grandpa. It all was like spread out through genetics. And my uncle was more crazy on a snowmobile, and we couldn't hold on. And so my grandpa made an invention with a belt with 2 snowmobile pull cords that we could hold on to so he can hill climb with us on the back and stay on. Yeah, like I said, the twins. I was red, he was always blue. It was fun fishing like the rest of us, very engraved in us. A lot of snow activities with them. Yeah, like I said, the snowmobiling was big, but also sledding, snowboarding. We bought little plastic snowboards, and he would use Pam on the bottom of them to make us go faster. The school bus, all that. Me and Cameron, they could not tell us apart at all. So my grandma had poster paint and would paint our hair red and blue so they could tell us apart. Other than that, yeah, they were at loss. We just had a fun time. We had a really fun time. Couldn't have asked for better grandparents. And yeah, showed us a lot.
This trailer. So this is during the renovation. And apparently we were going to sleep in the trailer, and me and Jake wouldn't shut up. We were giggling so much. And so my grandpa said, "That's enough. I'm going to go sleep on the floor in the renovation." So he goes, and the door is locked, so he had to go through a window.
Well, he went around the back.
Yeah. And it just so happened that he goes inside, and the breaker box was just sparking. And shut it off. Everything was good. No fire, nothing. And he always claimed that it's because of our giggles that the house never burned down. So
yeah, we saved the house.
We saved the house.
Nice. Because we wouldn't shut up.
Exactly.
So it was kind of funny. Yeah, again, fishing, just a whole bunch of that fishing, snowmobiling, outdoors, camping, four-wheeling, you name it. Snowmobiling. I took on the crazy side as well. I blew up a couple engines. Some of you guys know that. This is the fish. It wouldn't fit in the fishing basket. It's kind of funny. Yeah, they're just hanging out. Life advice. A lot of good stuff. Again, snowmobiling, digging out. That's why my uncle liked us, was because we would dig him out too. It was nice. Yeah, this is just a lot of happiness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nah, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, he'll have to buy a boat. It's went a long way. This is fishing's been ingrained in me. I mean, all of us, but I've taken it on a lot. I've been doing trying to keep up with his boats and everything like that to keep the memory going on. And he's always said that to me, and it's held true. So one of the inventions that like Nick was saying, these things are made before, but he made these in the early days. He made a snowmobile sleigh, and it's pretty much just a metal tin box on stands with water skis in the front on the sides for it to go. And I always remember it because it was so fun to ride in, but a big metal box got pretty uncomfortable pretty fast. But just lots of activities with it. Fishing again. Is that the same picture?
No.
All right.
You. Yeah.
All right. Different.
We can't even tell.
Yeah. Always great time. A lot of memories with the old camper, the Silver Bullet, we call it.
See, that could be me.
Yeah. Two sets of twins there. Happy birthdays, always. Usually a fishing license, but always fun. Forest Service days when he was the camp host. Again, annoying our parents. They would chip us off pretty much for the whole summer, pretty much, and we go live up on top of Fairview Canyon. Two hoodlum twins, living in a somewhat new travel trailer, my parents put a lot of trust in us. Worked out, and we learned a lot with them. It was four-wheeling, all that fun stuff. Fishing again. I think this first trip I said, hey, this trip's on me. And I came and picked him up, and we took him up fishing. He didn't have to drive or nothing, and we did pretty good. Cleveland Reservoir. Just knew how to reel in the hogs. He was pretty good at it. New fishing. He's always so excited when new fishing poles and new fishing gear came out. Warming hot. Many memories going down there. Always one of the big ones is when they helped move it from right down below Huntington Res and moved it to North Skyline right above Fish Creek. And I will always tell people that my parents had a back door, and when they moved the building up over there to North Skyline, they donated the door to the main door of the warming hut there, and it's still the same door today. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, just helped with the whole move and everything like that. Very associated with like snowmobile parking lots, the toilets, warming hut, whatnot. Very, very outdoorsy. Parking lots. Always happy to see. I think this is when the two big drift parking lots were just made, so just happy to see more parking up there. Fish. Always a great time hanging out. So, okay. Love you, Grandpa.
Okay, I'm Casey. I'm one of the second set of twins. And this isn't really a quote, but when we were playing outside when we were little, he would just howl and just pretend to be a wolf to bring us back in. So he would just go, whoo, outside. So that's what I remember. Yep. And so one of the things that he would make, or a couple things, I guess, is he would make chairs out of interesting things. I don't even know how he made. Oh, I think that one came from like one of the RVs. And he turned that into a chair. And then I remember, I think there's a couple of them, but he took like the tractor seats and nailed them to tree stumps. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know if this is me or not. Okay. But yeah, just hanging out, wearing grandpa's shoes. Yeah, we'd go four-wheeling a lot. He'd teach us four-wheeling and snowmobiling. And he'd also teach us when we were learning how to drive. We would drive his car around in the fields. We'd go fishing with him. I can't say if that was if I was super excited to do that when I was that age, but looking back, it was a fun time. Birthdays, like almost every birthday we'd spend there. Then I went to visit them really quick before my mission to Nauvoo. I wasn't sure if Grandpa was going to be around when I came back, and Mom even had me record some songs for him just in case. But then this was when I came back home, and he even made it to our wedding last year. He had like the white button up and nice brown pants. That was like the only time I've ever seen him in anything other than overalls. So love you, Grandpa.
So I'm Lex. I'm the other twin. I'm the last of the grandkids. And you know, I don't feel like I have to hide it. So I've gone through quite a lot of changes in the last couple of years. So I might look and sound a little different from these pictures here, but my relationship with Grandpa did not change. We had our childhood dog. We got him when I was 7 years old, and I loved him to death. And he was my best friend. And one of my favorite things was watching Grandpa and Max together outside while Grandpa was working. Max would follow him and be right in the way sometimes, and so we'd have to move them aside sometimes. But they spent a lot of time together, and I loved watching them together. And so some of my favorite Wayne inventions was he would make little forts, little houses out of these giant cardboard boxes for me and Casey outside. And then some other ones were he would take these little milk crates and nail or screw them on however he could, attach them to the front of four-wheelers. We could go out and collect rocks, and one of my favorite memories is while we were collecting rocks, he would find little marbles just randomly, and he would give them to me and Casey. And so, and my love of camping definitely came from this guy here, and he was from what I remember, and now 20 years is only a fraction of his lifetime, but he was kind of a quiet guy, but he really showed his love in in the smallest ways, and he was a really great guy to spend time with. Again, you can even see in this picture that he would just hook up a crate to the front of the four-wheeler we'd use to put stuff in while we're riding. It's a picture he taught me how to use a BB gun. It's just some great times there. Taught me and Casey how to rig a fishing pole, and these were times that I am very fond about. Just some really good times. And again, with the whole coming out of Fairview, coming down to Utah Valley, he came down and watched me and Casey perform in a junior high production. And that was the first time he ever has seen a live action performance ever. And it just meant a lot that he would come down and watch us perform that. And again, with the love of snowmobiling, about 5 years ago, I got another little puppy, same breed as Max, and his name is Domino. And so I took him and spent some time up there with him. It's us going on rides with Domino and introducing Domino to the outdoors. And Grandpa also, he loved that dog too. This is one of the last pictures we all took, and we're all crowded in the sunroom, and but we all love just hanging out with him in the sunroom. And I remember distinctly one of the things he told me when I was very young is he in another lifetime would have been I guess reincarnated into an eagle. And so he would be an eagle. So just want to let you know, Grandpa, I'll be watching for you in the skies. So yeah, thank you.
All right. Okay. Thanks, guys. Luann, you're off the hook. We're going to go ahead and close this meeting with a musical number, The Commission, with Casey and Tyler. And then following that, we will have a closing prayer by Kevin Anderson, who's a nephew. And then we are honored today to have military honors for Wayne, and to have the American Legion Post 68 perform that just outside here as we leave. And we'd like to thank Uncle Steve. Thank you. I don't know why I'm getting so emotional, but thanks for leading that up. And we'll continue with that. Okay.
One more song for you guys.
look at my feet. It's okay if it's hard to believe. I have faith that you will do greater things. It's my time to go, but before I leave, go tell the world about me. I was dead, but now I live. I've gotta go now for a little while. But goodbye is not the end. Don't forget the things that I taught you. I've conquered death and I hold the keys. Where I go, you will go to someday. But there's much to do here before you leave. So go tell the world about me. I was dead, but now I live. I've gotta go now for a little while. But goodbye is not the end of the journey, the end of the road. My spirit is with you wherever you go. You have a purpose and I have a plan. I'll make you this promise, I'll come back again. But until then, go tell the world about me. For I was dead, but now I live. Oh, I've gotta go now for a little while. But goodbye is not the end. Oh, go tell them about me. I've gotta go for a little while. But goodbye is not the end.
Our Father in heaven, we're thankful for the opportunity we've had to be here today to remember Wayne Shepherd. We're thankful for the memories we have and pray that they will live on in our lives as we think about this day in his life. We're thankful for the knowledge that we have that know that Wayne lives on and that he is in a better place at this time. And we pray for Ray and Jeff and Lori and Brenda. Bless them, that they'll, thy Spirit will comfort them at this time and be with them as they move on from this. We pray that thou will be with all of us as we travel and as the procession travels to Fairview this day, that it will be safe and everything will go well there. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.